So, hello everyone. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you to this IHE-Europe Town Hall on the topic of the EHDS Plugathons, which we will conduct at the IHE Connectathon in Vienna 2025. My name is Jürgen Brandstätter. I'm from IHE-Europe, but also from IHE Austria, who is organizing this event. We have a quite packed agenda in this call. So first we have an introduction by Claudio Saccavini. Then you get information about the Experience Days conference at the Connectathon from Sofia. And then I come up with some details on the EHDS Plugathons itself. And then we have 3 slots to explain some projects and their contribution for the Plugathon to get a better understanding what will happen on these Plugathons. So by that, dear Claudio, please, could you start with your part? I advanced the slides for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jürgen. Could you move to next slide, please? Okay, first of all, welcome to everybody, and it's a pleasure to host you during this town hall. We have launched this town hall because this year we want to sync our testing activities with the EHDS project, and so we're talking later. You know that EHDS project is now a law in the European Union, and there is a roadmap, and as IHE-Europe, we have synced this EHDS roadmap with our testing roadmap. And so this year we will have during the Connectathon in Vienna, the first events about EHDS program. First of all, we have some profiles that are EHDS ready that will be tested during the Connectathon. And so we prepare also a special seals for this dedicated profile, but we take later about this point. Then we have during the Experience Day some panel discussion about this, and Sofia will explain this part. And of course, we have also some tracks in IHE Plugathon. It's important that the added value of the regular added value of the Connectathon this year will join with a new added value that is the sync with the EHDS program. Next slide, please, Jürgen. This is our timeline, you know, is regular timeline of each Connectathon. Now the registration is open, and the registration will be open until the end of March. Then in April, we will open and announce in detail the program of the Plugathon. And then we start the regular timeline with the preparation, with the Connectathon and the post-Connectathon activities. Next slide, please. So, in which way you could register to the Connectathon? First of all, you have to start with the administrative registration using the ClickUp form. And then after this administrative registration, you move to the traditional and regular technical registration in Gazelle. We need to close officially the registration the 15th of March, but in reality, we will announce in the next week that we postpone this deadline to the end of March. It's regular. In each Connectathon, we used to postpone at least by 2 weeks. Now the registration is very good stage. We have a lot of system. We have reached the 17% of the goal. And so we have a lot of registration in mostly in the more important and focus profiles. Next slide, please. Okay, now I leave to the other panelists the floor, and I will be happy to see you in Vienna. Will be a very pleasure for us as IHE Catalyst to host you in Vienna. So Sofia, I share the screen with you.
Thank you, Claudio. So I will talk briefly about the Experience Day. You can go to the next slide, please. So the Experience Day are a conference. We'll have 1 day and a half this year, and this conference is focused on the latest development in the field of healthcare information system interoperability. So you can meet fellow professionals. So it's not only from industry, it's also from healthcare community at large. And we have a focus on the different topics. So of course, this year, one of the focus will be EHDS. Just before I dive in the program, you can see here, you have a small video, which is a trailer about the Experience Day that you can, of course, look at, and it will give you a bit a bigger idea about what's happening and who you can meet and how it is. So if you can go to next slide, please. So this year, our theme is about artificial intelligence and EHDS deployment for data empowered era. So here you have the preliminary program, which is not finalized yet. So we'll have a first day that will be focused on more national real implementation and real stories, what's happening, and we choose the focus on laboratory and pathology for this year. You will have also some information about IHE profiles, how they are developed. So the profiles that are around artificial intelligence, the FIRE profile, and the profile that are developed for EHDS. And on the second day, we'll have a more high-level overview of the different projects that are related to EHDS, and a global overview of the work that is going on and how you can participate. So with the two QR codes, you have the first one to register to the Experience Day. We have currently an early bird discount that you can register to. And if you want just more information about the program and being up to date on the latest development on the second QR codes, you will have the link to the website. And I think that's all for the Experience Day.
Okay, thank you very much, Sofia. We are actually super quick in our timing. So then I would like to ask the audience if there are any questions to the things which have been said so far. Okay, no one for the moment. We will have a Q&A in the end anyway. So just for the program, I would like to mention proudly that you see we have a keynote speech of Austria on the first day. This lady, MyHealth, is from the Austrian Ministry of Health. And we're proud to announce that the Ministry of Health is supporting this event, and we're very much looking forward to it. So by that, let's move on to the next topic, which I personally will convey to you. So it's about the EHDS Plugathons themselves. So you see we have two. We have one patient-centric and one like healthcare provider-centric one. And I will now explain where they are and to which they target to and how they differ from each other. So let's start with the first one. The first one is the like healthcare provider Plugathon, as we name it for now. It will happen in the first half of the Connectathon. So it's from Monday to Wednesday, from the 23rd to the 25th. It's of course in the same venue as the Connectathon. It's all in the same place. And the topics of this Plugathon are basically the European health data space, with its strong focus on primary care in this Plugathon, and especially also on the MyHealth EU cross-sharing, cross-country sharing of information. We will have a strong focus on the European EHR exchange format, which are the sort of specifications of behind the use cases of EHDS. It's a laboratory report, imaging report, discharge summary, and patient summary, and prescription and dispense for the moment. But we have some more information on that later. And we will have the European I2X project as a topic there, to which we have later on an own block of information on that. The format is, as for all Plugathons, a mix of education and testing. And the testing part will be the FHIR implementation guides for those exactly 5 use cases of the EHDS. Whereas we are not quite sure if we really take up medication prescription and delivery into this. The first 4 are set. For the last one, we are still evaluating. So if someone of you has a comment on that, please let us know in the Q&A section later. That would be very interesting to have feedback on that. And what's but in particularly tested are the draft EHR exchange format specifications, which will be at like a certain point in June 2025. But I have an own slide on that later. This will be the schedule. So you see, it's like about 2 days in total. So we start on Monday lunchtime. So all participants will start with a lunch and then enter into the educational part, which will cover exactly those mentioned topics. So you will get information on the EHDS, on the EHR exchange format. We will have a big deeper dive into the Xt-EHR specifications, which are basically FHIR implementation guides on those 5 use cases. And the education part closes with a preparation of the group to the testing, which will start on the next day. So on the day 2, the testing, this first testing day on Tuesday, we will start, of course, with a test configuration. So we will have some time to configure all of our systems, and then we start doing of the testing. You know, all of this, a Plugathon is like, it's not like a Connectathon, so where you just sit in front of your screen and you just try to get your tests done, and then you are happy to get your star. A Plugathon is a different format. It's there for sharing experiences, also, you know, exchanging like details on your implementation. So it's, if you want a stage earlier than going to real Connectathon, we are also working with draft specifications. So everyone is invited to come with like their prototypes, or even if they have just, you know, start with that topic and want to get more information on it. The entire exercise for this is to prepare the participants for the upcoming specifications which come with the EHDS, and to get them familiar, and also to build a community around this to advance the preparation of the, in fact, vendor community to the EHDS. And on the 3rd day, which runs until lunchtime, so we end basically with again with a lunch. We will have again some last testing in the morning, and then we will present like some sort of results, and we have some little celebration, participation awards and things like this. And then this Plugathon is over. The other Plugathon starts right after this. So we lined it up side by side. So because if someone really wants to attend both, that there is no obstacle on this. So the second Plugathon has sort of a patient view. It starts on Wednesday after, or with lunch actually. So right after the first one ended, and it ends on Friday, again lunchtime. So it's the same like 2 days. It's also in the venue, and the topics of this Plugathon is more on the patient-mediated sharing of health information. So the first Plugathon was on the healthcare provider to healthcare provider sharing of health information, but this one is on the patient-mediated one. So we will have the MyHealth at MyHands project there. We will have the xShare project there. xShare, and Sofia has more information on this, as a so-called yellow button specification and labor, which is basically like you load your, for example, international patient summary onto your smartphone as a patient, or you get a QR code to your international patient summary. So to show it to someone, these are the use cases which we have there, and also others. And the format is the same: education and testing. I said what will be tested are the yellow button label requirements, which are specifications and functional requirements. This is about still to be defined by the xShare project, and we will have another patient-mediated, as an all-around patient-mediated sharing of international patient summary there. The schedule is, as mentioned, it starts with the lunch, and it starts again with an educational part, which has a lot of patient-mediated information exchange, basic information, like which standards are behind this, how does that work, what is the workflow, what are the agreed workflows, how to do that. Then we will have some project information there, as I mentioned, MyHealth, MyHands, xShare, and all of this. And we prepare people for testing, which starts again on the next day in the morning in the same way, configuring and then testing. And on the last day, we have the results and the little celebration at the Friday at about 2 o'clock. And now it comes to me to talk about the first detailed part of projects which are involved in this Plugathon, which is the Xt-EHR project. So the Xt-EHR is a so-called joint action to the eHealth network. So that's a very prominent project at the moment, which many of you probably know already. They have a big agenda. You see the work packages here, and they're marked in blue, the ones which are very interesting for us here, especially the work packages 6 and 7, which are the use cases of EHDS, prescription and patient summary, the first, which are already online and up and running on the MyHealth platform in the format of CDA. So they are about to be moved to FHIR. That's one part. And the work package 7 deals with the new services of the EHR system, which are, as I mentioned, laboratory results and reports, medical images and reports, and discharge reports. And with those 5, we will deal on the Plugathon. You see here some links which you can click. Those will be the specifications which we test. The background behind these specifications is the following. The Xt-EHR joint action at the moment is working on things like the requirements and all of this stuff. And in parallel, under the auspice of IHE-Europe, which we partner with, there are the actual implementation guides to those 5 use cases currently created. So all of them are based on pre-knowledge as we know it. So all of them are tightly connected to international standardization. Laboratory report, for example, is looking back on a long history of standardization efforts, which now is resulting finally in the creation of the first FHIR laboratory report specification, which is now made in Europe, but which will be in parallel actually moved up to international level to be a template for an upcoming international FHIR laboratory report standard. Imaging report, it's about the same. We do a European one. There is an international one in IHE currently in the making. They are synchronizing to each other. Possible discharge summary is at the moment the European one. The European patient summary is obviously derived from the international patient summary. So this will be very dependent, I would say. And the European medication prescription delivery work, which is prescription dispense, is in sync with an international medication prescription and delivery work, or in IHE, which is currently progressing sort of in parallel. And all of those specifications are FHIR based, including the prescription and dispense workflow. The first 4 are FHIR documents. The last one is fully FHIR resource based. The links lead you to the respective implementation guides. Laboratory report is at the moment the first version published already. The others are still work in progress. We will have this situation further on. and we don't know where we are in June. So probably some of them are already published, some of them are work in progress. But as I mentioned before, this is experimental, and these are the specifications which will become at some point of time the European specifications endorsed by Xt-EHR. We see that, for example, Xt-EHR persons are already sitting in those working groups above in doing also the technical work. So for you as a potential participant to the Plugathon, this is absolutely on track. If you now familiarize yourself with those fire implementation guides, that's very valuable for you, because you can follow and monitor the progress. You can even, contribute to the progress if you, because all of these working groups are basically open. It's IHE Europe working groups. You can also contribute to that if you think that you have something to contribute. But at least it's a very good way to make yourself familiar with these. And at some stage they are at that point in June, and in this stage we will test them. We know that these are probably not the final specifications, but they will be very good candidates, and there might be changes afterwards. So it's definitely worth to familiarize now with this. In last, I say, adopted by Xt-EHR in future, they will be, as I mentioned already, and they will be for both Xt-EHR areas, because Xt-EHR has on the one hand the MyHealth EU area. That means the cross-country, the cross-border exchange of these information. That's the one thing, But you know that the EHDS also comes with EHR requirements, which are basically for within the countries. So it's also planned to use those formats within a country, within EHR systems. So they will be at some point part of a potential EHR requirement, potentially part of EHR requirements, which need to be assessed to sell on the European market. So yeah, that's something which is coming with the EHDS. So with that, I'm finished with that part. I think we are good in the time.
Before continuing, Jürgen, I see that there are 4 questions in the chat.
Yes, so that my problem is, I think I don't see the chat. I try to, do you see still the slide? Because then I switch over now to the, okay, then I can switch to the chat now. Okay, good. So first question, will there be a track about adjusting the existing IHE profiles to EHDS file if needed? You mean a track in the Plugathon? I mean, there will be certainly discussions in any way. There's no specific track around this, but the entire purpose of the Plugathon is to have exactly that conversations. So because the IHE people are there, the HL7 people which are in those working groups I mentioned will be there. So, or at least some key persons. That means there is it is a platform for doing exactly these discussions. So no, there will be no special track, but yes, there will be discussions around it. And if we find out that we need to, find out in the discussions that some IT profiles needs amendments or that we need new ones and so on, that's happily welcomed to have this there.
I'm not sure, Jürgen, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Honorable Bartels, I was the one who posted the question. I'm not sure if it's a task for the Plugathon, but probably for the focus groups on the EHDS. There maybe the differences between the old IHE profiles and the new ones being ready for the IHDS or the fire part will be found in the Plugathons. But after that, you need a group who is going to discuss, okay, what do we need to do then? That's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, as said, there will be no, at the moment, there is no special, group meeting or something like that planned. because the IHE profile work is not done in Europe, it's done in international. So we need to bridge that, but we want to collect, of course, any comment we receive so that we can forward this. We believe that many of the IHE profiles as they are now, especially the newer ones, which are fire-based, are already fit for the EHDS. So we're working on a seal. So, for example, MHD and RESTful ATNA and those things, we believe will be very useful in the EHDS. Although this, of course, is not set yet, because this is all work of the Xt-EHR to do. So we have a bit of a race condition here. We are too early. But of course, some things are obvious because they are already on the market. And yeah, so as I said, there will be no special focus groups, at least to my knowledge right now, but there will be definitely the platform for discussing those things.
Okay, thank you.
So then we have, will there be interoperability, peer-to-peer testing or conformance testing using simulators? So for sure we have conformance testing with simulators and validators, especially for the content profile. So this will be the typical, I upload my document and I get back, what's wrong with it. All right, that we have for sure. How much transactional testing we will have is still, under debate. We wait for the input from the respective projects, like for example, xShare. But from as we can say it for now, there will be pretty much sure the possibility to test some of the things which are needed for example, patient-mediated exchange, like MHD, for example, or verifiable health links, smart health links. These things we will most likely have, but the final decision on that is not yet made. We give you a more detailed update about what will be tested in the next follow-up town hall, which is, I believe, in April. But yeah, I would say we will have some. And content testing we will have for sure. Can one register? How can one register for the Plugathons? So, well, Claudio has mentioned it already. We will have a registration link up and running in the beginning of March. So the registration is open there. We want to finalize everything until there. Also like these details which you just mentioned. What exactly is tested and so on. And then there will be the registration possible on the Connectathon web page. Next question, is it possible to participate in both the Plugathons for the exchange and the focus group on the issues as part of the experience days? Well, we aligned it as good as we can so that we don't have overlap, but obviously we have overlap because the experience days are on Tuesday, Wednesday. So the overlap, if you want, with the testing part of the first healthcare provider oriented Plugathon. We know this is the case and we apologize, but it was not really possible in a different way. We hope that those organizations who attend the Plugathon and who also want to attend the experience days, which are overlapping, come with a team large enough so that, for example, the technicians in the team sit on the floor and do all the testing part, whereas other people may step into the experience days. For the other Plugathon, the one for the patient-centric one, this should not have an overlap with the experience days because it starts right after. I hope I answered all questions for now. Can we move on? Okay, thank you. So if we allow myself to move on and give the ball back to Sofia to give us a little information on the xShare project.
Thank you, Jürgen. Just for context, xShare project is a European project, which stands for expanding the electronic health collection format to share and effectively use health data within the EHDS. So the goal of the project is to have everybody being able to share their health data with the click of a button, which is called the yellow button. So from your health app, from your country, you could share your health data directly with this yellow button. So in the project, we have 8 adoption sites. So France, Italy, Madeira, Catalonia, Ireland, Greece, and Cyprus that are doing some demonstration and that are testing with the yellow button and its functionalities. So there will be the one that we will focus the xShare Plugathon for. So other than that, in the project, we're also developing the hub, which will be a European format standard and policy hub that will be sustainable not only in the project, but also after the project. And there is also something that I think Jürgen mentioned really briefly about the industry label. In the project xShare, we are trying an industry label and see if it will be ready already for the Plugathon in June. So if you can go to the next slide, I will explain a bit what we are going to test for xShare. So there will be a focus on the European patient summary and the international patient summary implementation. We'll test, of course, the conformance of the content, working with CDA to FHIR converter that was asked a lot by the adoption sites, testing the use of the Smart Cells link, testing the translatability of the content, because the goal is to be able to have this information between in cross-border between different countries. So for that, we will use what's already in place within MyHealth at EU. And also to validate the content of the X bundle that are developed in the project. So for those who don't know what are the X bundle, I can put a link in the chat that there is a lot of content in it. So there are the implementation guide for the different domains. There are some description of the use case and so on that are developed not only for xShare, but for the European electronic health collection format in total. So that's the information that I can share for now for xShare, and of course there will be more mature information as we arrive closer to the Plugathon.
Okay, thank you, Sofia. So we are really good in time. So Sultan, are you in the call? Alexander?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here.
Yeah, very good.
I'm here as well.
Welcome. So it's a pleasure for me now to invite Sultan Lantos and Alexander Berler to talk about the MyHealth and MyHands and the I2X projects in Plugathon, or potential projects in Plugathon. Those two projects are European projects which have some importance, and I'm happy to announce now that you have the stage, and you actually don't need to hurry. We are really good in time. So take your time to explain those projects to the audience. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let me start, because the first one is I2X, and then I'll pass the floor to Zoltan for the other two. So I2X and MyHealth at MyHands are Digital Europe program funded projects, so they are closer to the implementation cycle than the research and innovation part of the funding from the Commission, which is an important parameter because it's much closer to what the European Union and the European Commission wants to try to push for adoption in parallel with the regulations that are being issued on the political and then legal side. So those two projects are pretty much sister projects. Let's say that I2X is closer to the, as a continuation of previous projects about the demonstration and implementation of what we call the European Electronic Healthcare Record Exchange format. And several demonstration and use cases will be done there with a very intensive participation of the industry. So that's a good point. And MyHealth at MyHands will do similar demonstrations, but closer to the citizen/patient tracks. At least that's my understanding, but Zoltan will be more precise in the potential use cases that we could try to demonstrate or test during the Plugathon in Vienna. So both projects are just starting, which means that we are going to try on the first part to try to reuse existing inherited assets that both projects are having, to try to go forward in this, let's say, series of testing and demonstration that will run for about 4 years. So let's go to the next slide. So as said, I2X is a project where IHE is contributing intensively, and this project is mostly about try to create healthcare records in the cloud as an establishment, as a concept idea, let's say, but based on the reuse of the exchange format. So very much aligned with the newly adopted EU regulation about the European health data space. So it's, to my understanding, it will be one of the ongoing playgrounds where the industry could come and test what they were going to do in their preparation for adopting the exchange format as demanded by the regulation. There might be probably other playgrounds that the Commission will fund, but this is the first established one that we have. I don't want to go in much details about the exchange format, but the important thing is that it's a set of established structured clinical documents like e-prescription and dispensation, patient summaries, laboratory results and their reports, medical imaging studies and their reports, and of course the Xt-EHR reports. Next slide. So I2X, it's a pretty large consortium with 40 partners from different member states, and it has 5 main goals that we want, and one of them is highly related to the things that we want to do. We're using concepts like the IHE Connectathon or the Plugathons. So the idea is to, on one hand, to create demonstrators where we can prove real-life use cases of the use of the exchange format. So try to use the content-based specifications in the context of real applications, mostly on the provider, a healthcare provider cycle. So very well-established use cases at the first part. Within the project, there will be at least 10 demonstrations that we will try one way or the other to create, and those will be deployed and evolved in the next 4 years. Another topic is that what we have seen as a barrier, and that might be a topic of discussion also during the Plugathon series, is that in order for the healthcare providers to adopt new formats and new structured documents, we need, as a community, to try to help them with new, let's say, innovative tools that will simplify their work into creating and putting the information in the right place with not too much effort or data entry. So that's a topic that we will discuss a lot in I2X. The idea is to create best practice, of course, and try to support and calculate what does it really mean in practice to adopt the exchange format. Next slide. So I won't go into the details of the work packages, but as you see, there is one work package dedicated to those innovative tools and how they can be integrated in the daily practice. There are 2 work packages about demonstrations, and the most important is this testing implementation lab, which is work package 3, where this will run throughout the course of the project, proposing different type of testing based on the testing continuum and the vendor's product lifecycle, try to match the 2 of them so that we can help from our side as many vendors as they want, both in the consortium, but also vendors that are not part of the consortium, to try to use this tool as a way to mature their products in the view of the new regulation. Next slide. So more or less, that's the overall idea, to try to create intelligent systems, try to create, include this in the daily clinical pathways and the clinical practice, so that whatever new standardized interoperability coming with the exchange formats comes in an alignment with the end users. And here the focus is mostly on the clinical side than on the patient side. So those are some of the use cases that we will try to evolve through the Plugathons, the next Plugathons in the next 4 years, starting from Vienna. And we will come back with more information about what we could propose as a first set of contribution and discussions during this setup of this new upcoming Plugathon in June in Vienna. So next slide. And I think here is where I can pass the floor to my good friend Zoltan to try to describe MyHealth at MyHands, but also one of the assets, which is the potential project. And I think we are going to start mostly testing with that one. So I think that would be pretty interesting. So Zoltan, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alexander. Yes, I will provide overview on both projects. The potential project is one of the landscape pilots of the European Digital Identity Wallet framework, and tests and piloting the wallet for the e-health use case, which is e-prescription, and MyHealth on MyHands as a sister project of I2X will provide a product line based on the wallet, and will provide different type of solutions for European citizens. So this will result mass products for several 100 million European citizens. Next slide, please. This is the highest level architecture for the infrastructure we will be developing. And on the right hand side, you can see why the I2X project as the record project is a sister one, because we will rely on all data which are recorded according to the new formats, and other standardized formats will come as well, so different data from public services. And the center is the wallet with the citizens either receiving information from central services. We will pioneering central algorithm services as well. So what data will be recorded according to the data pyramid that Alexander presented will be processed and transformed into knowledge and wisdom, so recommendation and prediction. And the other use case, large use case, is when a citizen provides access to a health professional to her health data. So one is the direct support to citizens. The other one is the wallet-based collaboration between citizens and health professionals using the enlarged and enhanced data capability. Next slide, please. So, as mentioned, we will establish the future European network, and this future European network, one important use case, first application would be medication support based on many legacy European projects and components. So not only e-prescription, e-dispensation will be available for citizens and for cross-border and pan-European use. Rather, e-patient information, we will utilize a pharmacovigilance app. We will utilize the Unicom smart substitution component, and we will measure patient-reported outcome measures and patient-reported experience measures based on the mobile phone, and we will be able to provide useful information for citizens based on their medication and also for the health community. And the next slide demonstrates the other important use case, which is the breast cancer patient journey coverage. As Alexander mentioned, the care pathway will be an important organizing workflow for our work. So the knowledge and the prediction will be localized in the specific points of the care workflow at the right place, right time, right content will be provided. The next slide demonstrates the project itself, 45 participants, and we will implement these type of data loops. So individuals share the data, preferably with consent. Then we store, curate data federation. Here will be important for the data utilization, and we will implement different services, solutions, algorithms to provide recommendations and decision-making support for both health professionals and individuals. So by the usage of the digital tools, we will close the loop, and by the usage, another set of data will be generated, properly recorded according to the formats, and the next wave of the loop will commence. So here we will also demonstrate that data is a renewable resource, and I have also indicated the work package which will develop the testing lab environment, and this is where the two projects working on the same capabilities, and this will be an important element of the network. So our intention is to provide a testing environment and clear requirements and training as well, where any further partner can be joining this data loop and provide one specific element of the data processing, data utilization, and this will allow us to develop a network which will be able to serve 450 million European citizens. Next slide, please. And we can only achieve this if we focus on productization. So we will prepare products based on the data as a resource. So this Plugathon in Vienna will be the first step to describe the way how we will produce data, which will be utilized in Europe for the interest of European citizens, improve health for all, and as Alexander mentioned here, we also make estimates on the value. So value measurement and value estimation will be an important element of the project, and these steps are indicating the work packages as well. So the testing lab will be the basis of the productization and the service delivery. Then the core infrastructure will provide the environment for a factory-like processing of the data. Then, according to the data pyramid, we will achieve that data will be presented in a mobile phone of the citizens, and then they will provide a platform with a digital showroom, so you can see that the data, what will be recorded, will be utilized in several service steps through a platform. Next slide, please. And as a first step of the specific application, the potential pilot will be a good opportunity to use the wallet. Next slide, please. So the wallet, either the reference implementation provided by the European central provider or national wallets, will be used, and so-called European Health ID will be utilized together with the nationally specific personal identification, and the individual will be able to identify themselves in a pharmacy. This is called here the proximity use case, so in-person identification and data transfer will be managed. So the objective is to perform the identification of an individual through the wallet using the European Digital Wallet Framework, and this will be the prototype for every further use of the wallet in the health environment. As mentioned, the objective is that in 4 years' time, several 100 million European citizens will be able to use the wallet and receive meaningful recommendation based on the data as we record it according to the standardized format. Thank you very much, Jürgen, for the opportunity.
So,
Thank you.
So just trying to close that information session, the idea is to try to give more specific content on what we think we should try to include in the Plugathon. So I guess, Jürgen, we are also open for ideas and suggestions. So since we still have a few weeks to finalize the official announcement and the launching early April to my knowledge. So I think it's important for as many of us from the community to be there, either as member of the projects or non-members of those projects. Those projects are totally open to add more contribution and collaboration in different ways. So don't see yourselves out of those if you are not part of them. And it's a good way to come and test and see a little bit how the regulation is being, and the tools around the regulation are gradually being formed, how we can create an ecosystem of vendors and innovators within I2X, at least for the more classical products that we know that exist in healthcare. But also what Zoltan is trying to put out, that there is a wide new community of connected applications of various types that through the wallet architecture, which is another regulation, in fact, from the European Union, will enable us a totally new approach of new services and product. And a few examples will be deployed within MyHealth at MyHands. But I think the Plugathon is a good place to test, and we'll try to combine test tools from the IHE community and from the potential community and present them to you during the Plugathon days in Vienna. So with that, Jürgen, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alexander and Zoltan. And we still have a few minutes left to have a little bit of town hall feeling on this session. So are there any questions or comments from the audience at this point of time? Let's just see if there are some comments in the chat. No, not really. So, okay. Then thank you very much to everyone, to all of the speakers and all of the audience for your interest in that topic, in the EHDS topic and in the EHDS Plugathons. We hope we could have given you a good overview about what we plan here. Please stay tuned for another information which will come with more details in the beginning of April, when we open up the registration for the Plugathons. And by that, I wish you a good afternoon, and thank you and goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jürgen, I still have a question.
Oh, there is a question. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I typed it in the chat. Maybe it's of my misknowledge, but the EU DI wallet, is that just for citizens, or is that also for healthcare providers?
We are working on the use for healthcare providers. This is a challenging situation because for citizens it is clearly indicated and regulated that by end of 2027 public services need to accept the wallet, so healthcare institutions. On the other side, this is not true for the institutions themselves. So wallet can be very well used for identification of the health professionals as well. And the Xt-EHR project is working on the details of how the wallet can be used for health professionals. So there will be a description, and we know from different countries that the wallet can serve the unique identification of the health professional. On the other hand, this is not compulsory from the individual to choose this opportunity. So yes, this is possible to use the wallet for health professionals for the identification, and institutes and regions and countries can use the wallet for unique identification of the health professionals.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, any more questions? We still have 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
Thank you all for the interesting meeting.
Thank you very much. Okay, then another last word. So, thank you for your interest. And I believe we have really a good set of topics in Vienna. I hope that we will have a lot of participants to share information. And as mentioned, you know, it's called a Plugathon. It's a place to meet and create community, to ask exactly those questions you just have. If you have something to test, it's good. If not, if you just come to learn, it's also good. By that, we say goodbye, and I hope we see you all again in our next town hall in April. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.